Oh, let's see. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Excellent.
I would like to introduce to you our speaker for this session. Ruba, as a technical specialist at Qatar Green Building Council, Ruba has managed and prepared a variety of sustainability-oriented programs, workshops, guidelines, and initiatives to promote sustainability and green practice, targeting various communities. Ruba has worked to provide sustainability assessment consultancy services to drive sustainable performance, efficient operation, and promote environment-friendly culture. In addition to our work as a technical specialist at the Qatar Green Building Council, offered programs like Green Key, Eco Schools, and Eco Campus programs in Qatar. So yes, for the rest of the profile, I will encourage us to look at the Green Institute website where we can see a more comprehensive profile of Ruba. But we are lucky to have you today, Ruba. We will be happy for you to share with us from your wealth of experience. And Ruba's topic today would be transitioning to green schools for better learning experience. I, the moderator today, my name is Olukoyo Obafemi. I am a researcher at Brandenburg Technical University. So, Ruba, I am told you have only 10 minutes. I hope you are able to manage within this time. And now the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the introduction. And I'll try just to be as fast as I can, just to give the audience like a clearer idea about what is All Green Schools is about and if it's really a better learning experience or not. So first, I'll start with a great quote from a great person, Nelson Mandela, which shows that education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. And as we see that now, our students are our future. They are the future parents, educators, decision makers, and even policy makers. So we need to educate them, to empower them, to be able to face challenges, the 21st century challenges like climate change, water scarcity, food security, and air pollution. And in order to do this, we need them to be very well educated, and especially when it comes to this education for sustainable development or environmental education. So green schools do have like three main objectives and stands on three main pillars, which is the health and well-being, to improve the health and well-being of its occupants, to minimize its environmental impact, and to use all of its physical features as a dynamic teaching tool. And this is a very nice infographic done by World Green Building Council for Better Places for People, where it shows and reflects the relationship between the green building features and green school features on the health, well-being, and even academic performance of the students, where we see that if students that are and classrooms that have more natural daylight, they have 36% increase in oral reading fluency. We see that in students that are in thermally comfortable spaces do 4% more correct answers in math than compared in other classrooms where it's too hot or too cold. We see that 10 decibels increase in noise accounts for 5.5 less points in language and math scores. So we owe it to every student to be in a green school then for a better academic performance. Now, how a green school also minimizes its environmental impact? It's because it gives a great consideration to energy and water, to indoor environment quality, to site and surrounding, and to transportation. And all of these green features, the building reflects all of these green features and communicates it to its occupants, so that to encourage them and engage them in operating these spaces in a more environment and more sustainable way and more efficient operation. Now we can see this from the Center for Green School, where they give that green schools that they built, they had 20 to 40% less operating costs. and they had 32% less water usage and almost 3,000 tons less CO2 emissions per school every year. So it just really has minimum environmental impact. And if we really want to think about what do we need to include in our school in order to make it a green school, we have these features in general. And the first one is to have efficient operation, meaning to install efficient electrical and mechanical system like HVAC system, lighting, appliances, and efficient water low flow fixtures also. Also, a green school gives a great consideration to site connectivity and to nature, allowing students to always connect with nature and have access to those views. A building envelope, healthy, high-performance building envelope that creates a very hygiene and healthy indoor environment where we allow for natural air ventilation, where we allow for daylight also. High levels of thermal and acoustic comfort, healthy transportation and different transportation system, access to public transportation, providing safe walkability, safe bicycle routes and bicycle racks. All of this means that I'm encouraging, even initiating programs like carpooling. They also provide active design building, which allows for occupants to move around, to be active, indoor and outdoor. Materials and waste, of course, since the start of construction and the choice of materials with low VOC, renewable, or let's say materials that are recycled or reclaimed until the operation and using the green cleaning materials and low VOC materials, day-to-day materials like art stationery, art supply stationery, and all of this. And also setting strategies like waste reduction strategies and green procurement strategies and policies. And innovation, we can see renewable energy, we can see smart water management and green roofs. This is a very nice poster done by Qatar Green Building Council, just to show in a quick glance what's all about green schools. And we can see solar panels, green roofs, green walls, active playgrounds, different transportation systems, programs like recycling program. So it's really more like, let's say, a living laboratory where students can see and participate and engage in different environment-friendly programs. So the question is always like, can any school be a green school, or do we have to really invest in building a green school? Now here we have two approaches. The most important one is to establish a sustainable culture, meaning establish sustainable student and staff habits. And this can be done as early as the design stage to adhere to a high sustainability standard or to a certification like going for LEED or for any other certification. And thus we allow students to learn from all these building features, or we can start at any point, at any time, from any existing school building. And this to upgrade this, to retrofit the school building into becoming a greener school. And the beauty of this is that this way we can empower students to lead this change, to be the leaders of this greening journey, and to adopt maybe an international program that will acknowledge their work or their journey eventually, like the Eco School program. And this is what actually we do in Qatar with Qatar Green Building Council. Now, either way, we are utilizing the school and making it our teaching tool. And this can, through these three steps, we need to connect between the belt and the natural environment and engage students in behavior and recognize this learning opportunity. And we need also to use all of these physical attributes to relate them to curriculum and to increase the literacy of curriculum that is related to environmental education and to education for sustainable development, and create this culture and these habits. And the third approach is by engaging students in direct activities related to school operation, like taking them in building tour, managing recycling, composting, asking them to track energy use, and caring for the school garden. Of course, the benefits of these of green school is is countless, from developing critical thinking into giving real life opportunity to reflect all what they've learned in books into real lifetime projects, knowing that their action, being more responsible and know that their action has tangible results. So this will empower them to take always responsible choices, engaging the community, their families, also making them feel that they are part of a global movement. So whatever you follow, you can be part of a global movement that is towards a better and brighter future. This can be, they can feel that they are part of the SDGs, they are contributing to the SDGs, and they can go by themes as per Eco School program. So they will feel that they are part of a global movement. Now, I'll share very fast some best practices from our eco schools and how they, in their greening journey, used the physical attributes of their school to be as a teaching tool. We here see that the environmental review, this is a very recommended step that all schools shall do, which to ask students to know their school better, to identify the areas, as we say, the good, the bad, the ugly, to identify areas that they want to improve in order to be more sustainable. And of course, this will empower them. This will make them feel like a part of ownership. When they have a say and they decide what the action that they want to do, they will commit to it, and they will be proud of the results, and they will share and evaluate their steps. And this is, of course, will develop their social skills as well as their cognitive skills as well. An example of how to connect with nature is a community garden, school community garden, where they will plant, and they will know that they share this school with other creatures. Planting a seed will grow a whole ecosystem around it. It will make them appreciate more food producers, biodiversity, and even patience. A school pond, one of our schools has a school pond where we can see that a school pond will attract a whole ecosystem around it. They will learn life cycle of amphibians and how they can take care of this as well. Another very nice example is aquarium. Besides it as being a social gathering point where children can socialize around, it can also teach us ecology, fish anatomy, food chains, and even if the teacher can ask students to take care of the maintenance of the aquarium, this will teach them responsibility and caring. It seems like I can see a delay between the slides and between the presentation, but I hope that the audience will relate what I'm saying to the slides when they will come and they will show. Another example is creating vegetable and herb garden, and knowing that how much work will be needed to put some food on the table. And this, of course, another global challenge that would help them to address, which is food security. Now, the second approach, as we've mentioned, was the curriculum and culture. And this is very important. When students see that all around their school ground, there are always those messages that are engaging them and give them information and providing them with actions and help and engaging them in campaigns, then this is what we call building a culture. They will know that this is the norm and that this is what they really want to do. Now, another thing is, for instance, what we see from launching any campaign and relating to any subject that they've learned. For instance, here we see that students learned about plastic and how plastic pollution is a real thing to tackle at a global level, and how they started a campaign to not use any plastic cutleries or one-time use plastic bottles. And here they are informing and involving everyone in this message. We can see Ocean Awareness Month also. This is one of the schools where they learned about the marine life, the importance of ocean and marine life, and how plastic pollution is causing all of this. And they took all of this knowledge to real life activity where they went to the beach, they made clean beaching, and they informed everyone about how much litter did they diverted from the ocean.
Uh,
So
one more
all of
minute,
these,
if you do not mind. Yes.
yes, so all of these are examples. This is when we say school operation and how to include students in composting project, and of how one project leads to one success leads to another. They had now a greenhouse. They are selling their compost. They are planting more trees than they need. They are beautifying their school, and they are sharing all of this with others. Of course, STEM schools, learning about environment, learning how to do all of this. All of these are great examples. We see water scarcity, how to deal with water plants, what they can do. These are all excellent examples, and this is also how to encourage our nudging behavior through sending messages for a more or school grounds that are more active. Apologies for it seems like I can see that the slides are not in coherence with my talk. I think there was an issue with this, but I'll just stop sharing my screen because I can see. Unfortunately, because I'm sharing my screen, I can see, but it seems like there is a delay. Now, what we see at the screen is an ARC dashboard, which is also a great platform where you engage students in the operation of their facility, and they try to upload their water energy consumption and see the results of and track their progress and how is this related to any initiative that they did, so that they can know how well they are doing. I'm not sure. I think we can, because of the delay, the slideshow can resume, and we can also. So I'm open to whatever you'd like to ask me or for any discussion.
Yes, thank you very much, Ruba. And I sincerely apologize for the entire technicalities and all that, but nonetheless, thank you very much for still managing to share with us this very, very informative and nicely designed presentation, which of course is very comprehensive and very easy to follow. So, but unfortunately, we are behind schedule, so we do not spill over the time of the next presenter in the subsequent sessions. So, just a quick summary before I open the floor for questions. That yes, I mean, you started by showing us this very important slide about how education is the most powerful tool, right? And how, of course, education is one of the most important tools in the face of contemporary and arising challenges such as climate change and all that. And you also showed us the three pillars of course, the green school. You didn't call it pillar, of course, but yeah, I would just like to summarize it this way. But for me, the most important lesson I have learned so far in the approach is taken, which you and you are taking, is that the concept of participationism is very obvious. That is, yeah, it's like a kind of bottom up kind of approach, not a top down approach. That is, we are starting now from the school and educating now the future generation on how they should be responsible and they should be aware, of course, of their environment and act very responsibly towards the environment. And something which you showed us again very, very excellently is this very nice curriculum development. You see, yeah, the way you have developed very nice green and sustainable curriculum, which you are using to teach, of course, and raise the future generation of responsible leaders. So, I have a few questions. I hope time will permit us to discuss. To have. I have just only five, or just five questions for you. I wouldn't know if there are also other people. The floor is also open for people to just drop their question, and I will just pick it up in the course of my exchange with Ruba. So the very first question is: green schools arose in the wake of achieving sustainability, apparently, like you already showed us. But how can stakeholders make them universal and more accessible?
Excellent, because
Yes.
as you've mentioned, we want green schools to be a very, let's say, as we've mentioned, a living laboratory. We are open to everyone to participate into, let's say, transforming any school into a green school. As I've mentioned, green school doesn't have to be designed from the very beginning to be a green school. And this is where there is a great room and opportunity for every stakeholder to participate in this. So private companies, NGOs, government, everyone can participate in this. They can help a green school to become more by there may be CSR, like corporate social responsibility, doing more to green schools, initiating any projects or helping in, for instance, funding any initiative that school is launching. One from our schools, we see that they wanted to ban the one-time use plastic water bottles. So they wanted students to use, let's say, reusable water bottles. So this is a great opportunity for any corporate to fund and provide them with these water bottles. And same goes for renewable energy. If we want to go as sophisticated as being more efficient or installing more efficient mechanical or electrical systems, and until the very simple, as I showed, one example is the community garden, where this was a contribution of one of the construction companies, where they provided them with the wood they are not anymore using, and they did from them all of these planters, partitions, and all of this. So here is a room for every, let's say, stakeholder to be part of greening any existing school.
Thank you very much for this very, very comprehensive answer. I know we also got to learn about some of the answers to this question also from your presentation. So for the second question, green school promises not only promise. I mean, now you operationalize this holistic learning experience for children and young adults. However, in what way does this differ from regular schools that also have major contributors to both national and global development? So, in what ways do you think your curricula stands out and contributes now to the state of the art? I mean.
Like there is a big difference between regular schools and now green schools, because what we are focusing on is not just increasing the literacy in curriculum in relation to environment education. We need to provide hands-on activities. We need to engage students. We need to reflect all of this, what they've studied in the books about environment and caring about the environment, into real-time projects, so that they can see the impact of their activities, of their action, really on the environment. And this is very important. And I think this is the main difference between regular schools and nowadays schools. And as much as this is a main difference and very important, as much as it's easy to implement, because we can start with baby steps until we reach the ultimate most efficient green school ever. So we can start with baby steps, and this is what we really want. We want to engage students and to give them a sense of ownership for themselves, as we've mentioned in the environmental review, to decide their priorities and what they like to change. From our schools, we see always they ask for a greener school grounds where they can enjoy some outdoor classrooms and enjoy their time outdoor. So this is what we mean. The connection also between the environment and them is very important.
Yes, thank you very much again for yet another comprehensive answer to the not so easy question which I have been directing to you since. So I would just like to take a moment to pause on my own question and take a question which we just have now from one of our audience, from Rakesh. Rakesh says, how can my school Eco Club member participate in lockdown as they could do when the school was open. I don't know if you can offer us from your own experience, maybe
Oh,
just a very
yes.
short answer.
From
Yes, to
our
tell
own
our audience.
experience, from our eco schools experience, what we can do is that the beauty about and this is very important, I should mention it from the beginning. What we really need is not just an environmentally sustainable students. We need these students to disseminate this message back to their families and back to their friends. So we want to drive a social impact. So during this lockdown, this is a great opportunity for students to take all of this knowledge, all what they've learned and they achieved at their schools back to their homes and start doing and implementing this at their homes. They can start a garden at their homes, they can start planting, they can start regrowing food from food seeds. What they do, they can start a composting project. So you can help even if we are locked down and there is no physical the students are not physically in the school, but they can still do, and from all what they've learned, take all of this back to their homes, to their neighborhoods, and try to implement as much as they can.
Yes, thank you very much. I hope Rakesh is convinced with the answer, which I think, in my own opinion, you gave yet another comprehensive answer to the question posed by one of our audience. So just very quickly to the third question on my list, which is how can green schools avoid now the bureaucracy, which we are very used to? I mean, bureaucracy that comes with institutions and focus very singularly on delivering on better learning experiences. You see, how are you able to deal, or how can you advise how you can avoid this everyday bureaucracy which comes with institutions?
I think it's a matter of priorities. I think if every school, every teacher and principal know that nowadays, especially with the pandemic, and with that we see that we need healthy people, healthy planet in order to be able to face and overcome any crisis that arose. We know that now it is the time for being more sustainable, being more resilient, and this is the focus. So we don't need the up-down approach so that we can get legislation or enforcement from government or so to be a green school. But no, we can start, any teacher can start from a classroom, and the message will go beyond the classroom walls into the whole school, engaging the whole school and then engaging the whole community. And it's more like a domino effect. Even if a teacher started, the teacher in the next classroom will try to copy, and then the whole school, and then the school will copy another school, and this where we will disseminate the message on a broader and go on the broader community and go beyond walls, and again achieving this social impact and let's say and nudging behavior change towards being more responsible and more sustainable.
Yes, thank you very much for sharing with us this experience, and of course, the very yet again another comprehensive answer. So the fourth question on my list, which is second to the last, of course, so I won't be keeping you long. Don't worry. So, what role can the government play in subsidizing green school to make it affordable for the poor? I mean, I am really interested in this specific question, especially from the Nigerian experience. So I will be happy, to learn from your own experience how you think the government can play a role, in subsidies, subsidies to make it more affordable for the poor.
Of course, government can help a lot, especially as you've mentioned. But it's the common sense for any school. If they want to reduce their operational costs, to be more green and to be more efficient when it comes to water and energy. So we know that each school there is a part of responsibility that falls on each school to be more sustainable in order for them to reduce their operational costs. For instance, being more to reduce less waste means to use less material, and this means also saving money. To allow students for natural daylight, this means less absenteeism, less teachers turnover, and this also means money. So this, when it comes to saying this is the right thing to do, but governments, of course, governments can help a lot, and they can help this by, as we've mentioned, to force maybe or in an indirect indirect way, try to put legislation as early as in the building. The country is building code for schools to be green schools, or it can encourage, let's say, banks, private companies to let part of their CSR to be to contribute to greening schools. And as we've mentioned, there's always engaging the community will always and maybe having fairs, school fairs or so, where they can raise funds to fund any initiative or any campaign that the school wants is also another great idea. So sometimes it's not just about the government, it's engaging the community and launching campaigns where you can attract people to fund or to help.
Thank you very much, Ruba, for the comprehensive response. So the last but not the least on my list of questions is the principle of green and sustainability science, of course, by Dr. Adenike Akinshemolu, talks about the usage of community-integrated entrepreneurial learning, citing the Green School. She cited the Green School in Bali in this specific case. How can educators incorporate this learning model to achieve sustainable development from your own experience? Maybe you can share. Maybe you can share with us, or you have another. You have an answer. Maybe not really from your experience. Yes.
Of course, community has a great role in sustainability, and our ultimate, let's say, a green school, as we've mentioned, it is to include everyone in this greening journey and to disseminate the message for the whole community. Now, a green school can be a hub actually for any sustainable and environment-friendly activity, meaning that a school can open its doors for workshops, for sessions that allows for people to know more about being sustainable and being environment-friendly. They can allow the neighborhood or neighbors to use their, for instance, recycling bins, or use their school grounds in a way to ask, in an indirect way, to engage the community to be more healthy, more active, and so schools can be like an attracting point and let's say a beacon for sustainability. Another way to engage the community is to fund schools initiatives, as we've mentioned. To fund, for instance, a school can say we're trying to launch a composting project where the whole neighborhood can utilize and can contribute to. So then, and it's open to the community to try to play a part in this initiative or in this in the program. So and as you've mentioned, Green School in Bali, this is, I think, what they did. They connected the community to be part of the school, and the school is part of the community, where they both feed, and it's a win-to-win relationship.
Thank you very much. I think that is all my question. I don't know if our audience, even if our audience has any further question. I'm not seeing anything coming up at the moment. But in the absence of further question, I would like to really thank you, Ruba, for taking your time to share with us this very. Okay. So before we leave, I think we have to treat this as the last question for the purpose of our time. So we have this question from Folake. Folake says, would it be expensive to organize a green school and adhere many funding organizations, let's say? Yes. So would it be expensive to organize a green school and adhere many funding organizations?
As we've mentioned, Green School can be a highly sophisticated, with high efficient mechanical and electrical systems, and can be a simple school with as simple as trying to start with any simple, let's say, step. So it's not expensive. The thing that we have always to start, and one success will lead to another. if we are planning for renewable or solar panels, renewable energy, and water treatment plants, and all of this green roofs, yes, it will be expensive, but this is not our ultimate goal. Eventually, it will come, but this is not our ultimate goal. We want to establish a culture. We want students to start. And actually, it's like let's say a very now a good thing always now to start from is reduction, to reduce before going to recycling. We need to reduce, to reuse, and then we go to recycle. And the same concept applies at any school: to reduce, to replan, and to prioritize what they need to be in order to be greener, and then step by step they ultimately will reach to the level that they want. And as we've mentioned, they're always, if you engage and if you share the success of your initiatives with community on different social media platforms or newsletters or so, people will be more encouraged to participate, to get engaged, and to fund any other project or initiative that you launch.
Okay, thank you very much, Ruba, for again yet another very comprehensive answer to a very tricky question, which was asked by one of our audience. So, in the absence of further questions, I would just like to ask a question of my own. That would you mind to share your presentation slide with our host? Then maybe she can share with the rest of the community. Then people with further questions, probably if they have your email over there, then they can direct some of their questions to you. And I also have private questions of my own, which time will not permit me, because I am also an architect and of course, a stakeholder, of course, in all of these discourses. So thank you very much, Ruba, for taking your time to join us at the Green Institute. We are very grateful. And yes, we will be
Bye.